You guys ready? Please be seated. We'll get started shortly. Well, good morning and welcome as we conclude another academic year with our this time 14th annual Employee Recognition for CLC. Yes, Deb reminded me just a short time ago that we have been doing this event now for 14 years. It's a time to come together and a time for reflection as we say goodbye to our graduates, our friends and colleagues as they move on to a new phase in their lives and to new opportunities. It's important to take this time to recognize the many contributions of our honorees today, as well as those of the many caring and talented individuals who fill the theater today. It's a time of change for CLC. We are saying goodbye to our president of 10 years and welcoming a new president shortly. This will be the last time I host the recognition event, which feels kind of bittersweet for me. But after 14 years of listening to me up on stage, you may also welcome a change, if not in format, at least in MC. We began our morning with a lovely breakfast, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the morning's program, which will conclude with our second annual CLC talent show. Deb put out the call, and you responded. As you can guess, our CLC employees have many hidden talents, and some of our bravest are willing to share their talents with you today. I hope that you will enjoy the performances this morning and that they will inspire others to join in the fun in the future. And before we begin our service recognition, I would like to just introduce a few new employees who have been hired since the last time we got together. If Tiffany Holinsky is in the audience, please stand. Tiffany is our new Ag Program Coordinator for Ag Centric. Jason Perella, Ag Technician over on the Staples campus. Jason, are you here with us this morning? Welcome. Mike Roloffs began his work at the Staples campus in our maintenance department. Is Mike here? Angela Gutterjohn, Rita CLA. Is Angela here this morning? Welcome. And lastly, Jean Gullickson, who replaced Jan Sterner as Information Specialist. Is Jean here? Okay. And again, before we get started, I'd like to invite Larry to the podium.
Well, good morning. It's great to see all of you here. I'd like to welcome especially friends and family that are joining us this morning to be here for your special someone who's retiring. It's been a fast year, it's been a great year, and we've had some ups and downs, but I think last couple days really just kind of bring it all together for us. I think our graduations on both campuses were spectacular. It was great hearing from our student speakers, and if you don't believe in what you're doing, and after listening to those speakers, I don't know what's wrong, because they really spoke from the heart and talked about their personal stories and how Central Lakes has impacted their lives for now and in the future. And it was really gratifying in both campuses to have conversation with students and with family members and to hear about the great things that's going on a daily basis between interactions between our staff, faculty, and students. And there are a lot of students whose lives have changed dramatically, and it's because of all the great work that CLC faculty and staff and administrators do on a daily basis. So I really appreciate that. So let's have a good morning of celebration. I decided to dress down and I didn't wear a tie. Bruce Eastman decided to dress for the occasion, so appreciate that. I decided not to participate in the talent portion at the end either, so even though several of you were begging me to do something, I can't do anything, so except be an administrator. So and that's ending as well. So let's have a good morning of celebrating. Thank you.
Well, today we're recognizing 37 CLC faculty and staff, 27 for years of service, and 10 additionally as retirees. It's CLC tradition to recognize 10 years of service or greater in 5-year increments. Our honorees today represent 783 years of state service. And we'll begin by asking those to come up to the podium, those with 10 years of service, and you'll receive a gift certificate and a bookstore gift certificate, excuse me. Eileen Paulo, if she's here with us today, and I know Eileen has been out on leave, so she may not be, but Eileen has served over 10 years with CLC. Michael Vogt, would Michael come up to the stage? Barb Reese. Catherine Blacklance.
Not awake yet.
Lori Beth Larson. And the last, with 10 years of service, John Molesky. Come on down. We'll move on to those with 15 years of service. Darhul. Kim Pilgrim.
That's true, Jody. That's right.
Steve Oslin. Not 10 years with CLC, but 10 years of state service. If Bob Rick is here, come on down. I didn't see Michael. Michael Sams, are you here? Eldon Kangas. Paul Hoffman. Oh, almost didn't recognize you, Paul.
Now known as Slick.
You know, I do want to say though, I'm just the one to put the price on my dignity. You guys are the ones to make it happen.
Kay Rezinka. We have two employees with 20 years of service. Ron Rademski. Is Ron here? And I didn't see him, but I'll say the name, Gordy Vierkant. Gordy, are you here? 25 years of service. We have 7 employees that I'm recognizing today. First being Dennis Eastman, Sandra Kaplan, Joan Jenkins, Nancy Schmidt, Brenda Cooper, Ron Houle, and Patty Sloan. And these individuals have all received a rose and a gift certificate from the bookstore representing their years of service. 3 with 30 years of service. First being Tom Reese.
Get that picture. Is that Deb McCarthy?
Facebook, none of your state.
Myron Stevens.
Thank you so much for the flower.
And lastly, Thurman Knight, if Thurman's here this morning. And these 3 individuals, again, received a gift certificate in addition to a wooden pen set. We have 1 individual who has 35 years with the state of Minnesota, and most of those with Central Lakes College. And that would be our own Deb Wesp. Please congratulate. And that concludes our years of service. I'd like to welcome Martha to the stage, who's going to talk about some OER recognition that's deserved.
Good morning. On this day of recognition and celebration, I'm here to recognize some of the people on this campus who've worked in this past year to reduce textbook costs for our students. As we are increasingly aware, expensive textbooks are a barrier to success for many of our students, and using open educational resources contributes to student success in many ways. I won't take time this morning to extol all the benefits of OER. You can read about that in the many emails that I send on this subject. But I do want to recognize those faculty members who have led and participated in OER activities. First, Karen Pikula and Dave Bissonette have put in many hours to write our successful OER grant and to design and facilitate the OER learning circles that have occurred this spring. Their leadership has been very much appreciated. Next, there we go. Next, I want to mention the faculty members who have been involved in our OER pathways. We had 3 ways for people to work on OER this year. Some of them reviewed a potential open textbook, some of them redesigned courses, and some of them actually authored OER material. And these people are true textbook heroes, pioneers in our efforts to reduce textbook costs for our students. And you might see them walking around campus sporting their Textbook Heroes t-shirts. Okay. Nice, huh? So I'm going to read their names. Hold your applause, please. Catherine Blacklance, Dina Bobzine, Mary Duvall, Christina Einert, Ann Nelson Fisher, Leanne Flynn, Bruce Furman, Sarah Kath, Brandy Lindquist, Elizabeth Mayers, Deb McCarthy, Kent Montgomery, Laura Olchenbruns, Mumphy Asafo, Mark Plata, Kate Porter, and Alita Reck Peterson. And what I'd like to, I know that there are other faculty members who've also worked hard to provide low-cost alternatives to students, and so I'd like to extend my thanks to you as well. You know who you are. And also thanks to the many faculty members who completed our survey this spring. And I'd also like to thank Becky Grausom from the bookstore for her assistance to faculty and students in the transition. So all the people that I've just named, can you please stand and be recognized for your work? Your Textbook Hero t-shirts are available for you to pick up in the mailroom, and so I hope you'll find them later today. Thank you.
Each year, nominations are sought for a Board of Excellence in Teaching Award. I'd like to invite Dave Heidela to the podium to recognize our CLC faculty member who received special system recognition through this program.
Good morning, everyone. The MISU system is comprised of 31 colleges and employs nearly 5,900 full-time faculty members. Each year, college faculty, staff, and students select up to 70 faculty members to be honored in the Board of Trustees Excellence in Teaching event. Prior to this event, these nominated instructors are put through a rigorous selection process from which up to 6 faculty members rise to the top and are chosen as and recognized as Educators of the Year. Our friend and colleague, Adam Marcotte, is CLC's most recent recipient, our 2016 recipient of the prestigious Educator of the Year Award presented by the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities Board of Trustees. I'd like to invite Adam forward and to share a few words. Adam.
Good morning. I have like 900 pages of speech here, so just sit tight. Actually, there are a lot of great people here today who have a lot to say, and so I'm going to get out of the way as quickly as I can. But there are three things I want to do just before I lose my 14 minutes of fame. The first is to thank the people who made this process possible and who helped me along the way to make it successful. For example, Dr. Heidela and his leadership in terms of providing information out to faculty so nominations could happen and the committee could meet and the person who was selected could actually generate the portfolio was really important. I had a lot of conversations with folks at the awards banquet who didn't have nearly as much time or advance notice to get their portfolios done, and I think that was an important part. Also, I'd like to thank Dave Bissonette and the committee who actually ran this portion of our college. He served with Herbo Leela, Karen Bakula, Julie Morgan, and Brandy Lindquist. They all had a part in the selection and provided lots of really good insight and feedback as I was working on the portfolio. For the portfolio, for those of you who don't know, but who will get to experience it soon, is a bag of laughs. It's an outrageous amount of time. It's the fastest 142 hours you will ever experience, and I really encourage you all to take part in it at some point. It's kind of like breaking a leg or having some kind of injury that happens to you. The pain of that experience disappears from your memory very quickly. And what you're left with is this notion of reflection and a review of your time as an educator. And you go back and you think about the students you had your first year and your second year. You dig up that old essay assignment and you realize, wow, I really have come quite a long ways. And this has been an interesting journey. And along the way, I've learned as much as everyone has in my room. And so it's really been a gratifying experience. And so I really encourage those of you who are nominated, I'll be nominating quite a few next year, to embrace the opportunity and to take advantage of the fact that there are lots of support systems here to help you. I had, for example, letters of recommendation from a few folks in the room, and I want to make sure I recognize them as well. Martha Keene convinced the Board of Trustees that I had some institutional effectiveness, which was really great. Thank you, Martha. Jeff Johnson suggested I had heart, and that was helpful because they probably were looking for that. Somewhere on their rubric, they were looking for enthusiasm, and Bob Brecken provided some insight into that. Herbo Leela convinced them that I wasn't an idiot, so that was helpful. I'm sure somewhere on the rubric, like the secret score, that was part of the evaluation. Brandy Lindquist suggested that I can measure student success, and I know assessment was a part of the evaluation as well. And Eric Boudreau, a former student and now a colleague, talked about what it looked like after he was done with his education at CLC and his experiences in my room. So all had a big part to play. Also, a shout out to Jody Longbella and Debbie West. There's a lot of technical stuff that happened. This was the first year the portfolio had to be electronic. There were lots of instructions. Some of them didn't match what we were actually supposed to do. And between the three of us, we were able to generate a document we could send off, which is just 500K short of our email max. So we're really happy that it sent off. Deb broke into Larry's computer so we could get special access, and we sent it off, and it worked just great. Larry didn't even notice. Also, a special thanks to Dr. Lundblad. Not only did he read my portfolio in draft stage, which was, I'm sure, a treat, and provide all kinds of really valuable feedback in terms of what an evaluator might look for, he also read the finished draft. And I overheard him talking at the banquet where the award was presented. And he had really, like I think he does very often, paid attention to the details. He remembered and he cared about the content, and he expressed that in a way, that was really honoring for those of us who were there, especially my family and friends who joined me there. So what happens is you go to this great banquet. There's a big dome. There's music. It's an awful lot of fun, and everyone gets an opportunity to celebrate. Is Dave Bissonette here? Oh, right. So. You may not know this, but before that, you get a check for this, by the way, or some kind of deposit in your account. Before that even hit my account, I sort of submitted a series of recommendations for change to the Board of Trustees through Dave, just in case they found out it was me. And so for those of you who run this process in the future, it will be much more interesting, and there'll be fewer hurdles to overcome, and I really think that you should take advantage of it if you can. Last, I want to remind us as educators and as colleagues and as peers here at Central Lakes what a great place this is. And if you do a portfolio and you have to and you're sort of forced to reflect on that, it becomes more and more obvious. This is just an amazing place to work. For example, just last week I had 20 students who dared to show up at our house and with faculty from the honors program just kind of hang out. By 6, an hour after the event had ended, there were still a dozen students on my deck. That's just kind of cool. Walking around my hallway, or our hallway I should say, I asked for a crown and Larry said I couldn't have one. There are folks with whom you just can't meet on at Costco. Brandy and Leanne, for example, will share articles with you on composition theory before the ink is dry. I don't know how or where they find these things, but if you want to know more about your discipline, it's not hard to find. Jeff will accidentally have you trip over a poet laureate on your way to class, so how can that be bad? And then if you go downstairs and you have enough time, I have a lot of hobbies. And it wasn't that long ago, Ray Johnson was on his back with both arms stuffed into the dash of my Datsun, and he was tinkering with the wires to see which ones would arc. How could that be bad, right? I was the one who put the wiring harness together. I knew how dangerous it was. If you're done and you get the car started again and you wander across the hallway, Dave Otto will take a look at these carburetors. I have 3 of them on the car, the most sophisticated carburetors ever invented. And he'll say, oh yeah, I can fix those. And he did. At the end of the day, if I'm still got any energy left, I can grab my flute and we can hang out in the community band under Steve's direction. And then if I need help or if I get lost or I get confused or I don't know what to do, I can always turn to my mentor, Bruce, whom I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about today, for guidance and helpful advice. So this is, it has been a pleasure, it is a pleasure, and I'm just thrilled that it worked out to be such a great opportunity and such a strong community here. So thank you and have a great day.
So before we start our retiree portion of today's programming, I'd like to direct you to a listing of CLC employees who have received additional recognition throughout the year for various accomplishments. You can see the program and also the screen for that information. So please join me in congratulating these folks for a job well done as well. We have 4 faculty retiring this year. It is CLC's policy to grant retiring faculty emeriti status when they meet certain service requirements. Faculty emeriti will receive a pin and their names will be added on a perpetual plaque at their home campus. Patrick Spradlin, CLC MSCF President, will speak to the faculty's recognition of today's faculty honorees.
Thank you, Nancy. First of all, Paul, I'm going to take a page out of your book. I'm now going to start a drive. If you'll make donations to it, I'm going to have a massive infusion of Rogaine, grow about 3 feet of hair, cut it off, and donate it. Or I might just keep it. Who knows? For many years now, I've had the honor of standing here and presenting to our retiring faculty members. what I hope turns out to be at some point in their lives an artifact that they can look fondly upon and go, yeah, that represents something that I did. We present, it has been the tradition of the Faculty Association to present a plaque. Maybe a gift of meat would be better, I don't know, but we go with plaques. And the plaque states in appreciation of and recognition of your service to the students and the faculty and the staff at Central Lakes College, lists, of course, their names and the number of years that they've provided that service. And that's what I'll be presenting later today to our retirees, to the ones who are here at least. It's always an honor to do that because we all recognize how tough a job it is to be a faculty member. I'm not saying it's not a tough job to be an administrator or a staff member, but I can only speak for faculty. That's all I'm empowered to do, I guess. So we know it's a tough job. And there are few rewards that happen that aren't just intrinsic to the job. There's few outside things that happen. None of us got rich. Or if you did, I want to know how. Maybe Larry wants to know how, or Kari. Or the policeman standing back there want to know how. None of us got rich. None of us got famous. Some did. And Darcy and Betsy and others. But what we did get was a reward inside of us. Whenever we encountered students later on who said, I remember you, and I remember your class, and here's how it helped. Listening to those speeches last night at graduation told us exactly the kind of impact we have. So the plaque can never, ever represent what that means to be a faculty member. But I hope it does at some point when you're retired, and when I'm retired and look back at my plaque hanging on the wall, I go, I remember all of that, and it stirs up those feelings. So I thank all of those who are current colleagues and for those who are about to become emeritus colleagues for your service. Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, we're honoring 10 retirees this year. It's hard to believe, but these retirees represent more than 246 years of service to our college. All but one of them had a minimum of 20 years of service, and 3 had more than 30. 4 of our retirees are not with us to be recognized today. Jan Sterner retired in March from her position of Information Specialist in Student Services. Jeanette Rydberg is also not in attendance to be recognized. Jeanette served 24 years, beginning her employment at Brainerd Staples Technical College in 1992, and was instructor and coordinator of the Child Development Program here at CLC for many years. Linda Bostrom is also not with us today. Linda retired last September after 24 years as a general maintenance worker for CLC. And last, Pat Swartout retired in August of 2015 after 30 years as instructor of marketing and business management. Pat is probably still on his island enjoying his tropical paradise, but we may run into Pat over the summer months as he returns to his summer residence in our lakes area. Please refer to your program for a tribute to these retirees. Deborah Hork-Bailey is our first to be recognized today. Deb was planning to be here today and called at the last minute saying that she was ill, so it's unfortunate she can't join us. But she retired at the end of fall semester in early January. For those who are confused as to who this is, CLC knew her as Deb Brenneman and later as Deb Hork-Lacombe. Since she left us, she's reunited with a former beau and is now happily married and living in the Twin Cities, where she can spend some more time with her grandchildren. During Deb's employment at CLC, she provided faculty support, she helped establish the Learning Commons, and finally assisted with getting AgCentric and the Ag Center up and running. She served many years as the AFSCME representative for CLC. Speaking on behalf of Deb is Keith Holender, Deb's last supervisor here at CLC. And Keith, if you'd come forward.
Good morning. I had the opportunity to supervise Deb for the last 18 months of her career here. Not sure if I was the one that finally got to her or what, but I appreciate the fact that she's not here this morning. As you know her, she would defend herself vigorously, but we had a lot of fun. Very unique situation in that in the fall of 13, Deb was assigned to the Ag Center, and at that time CLC was just named as the host or the fiscal host for Ag-Centric, which at that time existed on a piece of paper only. And Deb was the first employee, and so she's going to go down in the history books really in that way. And that's kind of exciting when you think about that, to be that founding member or founding employee. But Deb was assigned to come over and clean things up, so to speak, make it look presentable from the standpoint of bringing in public officials to a place where we had just an opportunity to interact and represent Ag-Centric at that time. And Deb even grew beyond that. It was, to be fair to say, and I wish she was here because she would completely agree with me, we've had these conversations, agriculture was not her favorite topic or one that she knew a lot about as she came into the center. But she was a student very much of agriculture, and more so she was a student of the players of agriculture. And it did not take her long as we moved forward into going out to the trade shows and recruiting. At the time, we were nameless, directorless. We didn't have a strategic plan in place, but Deb didn't matter. She could pick that up and carry it and really communicate with the best of them in terms of where we were going, and really futuristic in thinking from that. And so really as time went on, she became very fluent, often telling me about how she would spend evenings reviewing policies that were coming about. And as you know, we had a very good legislative session, partially in debt to Deb and her work in the background with that. So we really appreciate that. To be fair though, a former colleague that many of us had, Kelly McCullough, supervised Deb for a number of years. And so I reached out to him and just asked if he would share a few comments. And so I'm going to quote from from Kelly about Deb. And so here we go. Deb is one of those rare people who has been everywhere and done everything. Just ask her. This is Kelly now saying this. And in fairness to her, I'm going to email this to her because she would appreciate it. But she will tell you about it, and she'll tell you about it. Okay, just kidding. In all seriousness, her story and her stories are all things I appreciate most about Deb. From her days in Berkeley in the 60s to running the numbers for her bookie dad, as a kid in the backroom political debates, she is an inspiration of a life filled with engagement and passion, and that I would concur. Deb carried a lot of passion for what she did and believed. Even if you are a person who may have bumped heads with her at times, you cannot question how much she cares. She is the single most fervent student advocate I have ever met. She is among the most visionary thinkers I have known. The transformation of the Learning Commons here in Brainerd, for which I receive a great deal of credit, and this is Kelly saying this, was her vision right down to the very controversial and unregulated food shelf in the back corner that came to symbolize precisely what we had hoped to achieve. And we did achieve that vision with her pushing and annoying the heck out of me at times. But she pushed and we worked, and in the end, we built the vision of what she had on the first day. And I would concur with Kelly on the same point. She had some very pointed things, and I think that as Dr. Lundblad had sent her over there to do a few things and set these directives out there, Deb carried them out to the fullest, to the point that I know her and I would have discussions about where we were going from day to day. But we enjoyed each and every one of those. So on a personal level, and back to Kelly's quote here, many of you know his daughter Peyton, and had been attending an amazing all-girl boarding school in Pennsylvania since 7th grade. And she's only there because of Deb. Kelly and his wife had no intention of sending a little 12-year-old girl across the country to live without us, even though it had a scholarship and a world-class education behind it. But Deb challenged the McCulloughs to think of not obstacles like distance and money, but of opportunity, especially for a young woman, not of age, but of preparedness. Yet Deb did not stop with just words. She helped with the fundraising and continued to offer support for Peyton by her connection and others. Her life has been transformed. She, I, and many others at CLC and across the surface of the earth are better off because of Deb. That is a legacy worth celebrating and a retirement well earned. Thank you, Kelly. So as we mark the milestone in Deb's life, we appreciate the guts, the tenacity, her ability to see things and see students not as they are, but as they can be. Her attitude and contributions are reflective of many here at CLC, that we continually focus on what's best for students, for here and beyond in their life abroad. Deb will be missed for her passion for student success. So with that, we certainly want to appreciate Deb for her efforts. I know most recently, the bonding project to Deb at Staples was just in her heart, and she worked tirelessly to support that initiative and was successful, obviously, with the team that was behind that. So with that, we just want to wish her the best. We wish that she could be here on that, but we want to wish the best to Deb.
Shirley Lofquist is retiring at the end of May after 26 years of service. Shirley began her career serving as a practical nursing instructor at the Brainerd Staples Technical College in 1990. During her tenure, Shirley experienced many changes. First, the merger of Brainerd Staples Technical Colleges, and then later the merger creating CLC. Now she is ending her career teaching as an AD faculty member in the redesigned nursing programs for our students going for their RN licensure. I think after experiencing a myriad of change during her career, she is going to go home and rest up, and I hope then begin a new phase in her life. I would like to welcome Peggy Ryder and Leanne Shonley to the stage for a proper send-off for Shirley.
So George, are you around? You said you'd be available for us to put this up here. Can you help us? I'm gonna put this. Oh, yeah.
George Marsalek, everybody.
Which one is this? That says Shirley's. That was the one that I sent you yesterday.
Let's see. Is that?
You emailed me and said that it
Oh,
was
yep. Yeah, let me see here.
all set to go.
I just need to find it here. Where did it go?
I'm gonna bring it on the flash drive, so.
Under downloads. Where's the download here? Oh, that's Peggy's. See, where is it?
Yes, you said it was all good to go.
It was. I'm sorry. Here, give me just a quick second. Yeah.
Just got it.
Just need to go to the email really quick, and it's right there.
Technology is great. Yeah, I didn't know either. So I took it out of my email too.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be down in one of these here. Yep, okay. Thank you. Thanks, George. It's always good to be on the good side of the technician, right? Okay, well, Shirley, today is the day. We've been talking about this for many years. So to start out with, we want to make sure that you understand that your retirement's going to be a journey and not a destination. The nurse is in. Shirley has always wanted to be a nurse, as her sisters will verify. When they were younger, she would make them play doctor's office, where she would make appointments and have them bring their dolls and themselves to her office for examinations, stitches, vaccinations, and camp physicals. She would hold classes on childcare, basic first aid and other things, and then she'd send out bills for the visits as well. Guess she was projecting to the future with independent functioning nurse practitioner duties. Recently, as her and her sisters were cleaning their parents' home, they came across the large children's animal book she used to make appointments in, and sure enough, they're nested amongst the pages were the designated patient visit bills in her school-age handwriting. Click for you.
Shirley graduated with her BSN from the University of Minnesota in 1972. She was the first grandchild on either side to graduate from college. In 2013, not only was Shirley working as a full-time instructor, but she was getting her MSN. When an instructor is in school herself, there's a lot more empathy towards students who are in the classroom. I am sure that Shirley could relate to this saying very well during that time. Once Shirley graduated, she worked at 2 different places in the cities until she moved to the Crosby area, where her husband got her a job at the Cuyuna Regional Medical Center in 1976. She worked there for 34 years in various different roles, anywhere from staff nurse to management to supervision and administrative positions.
Shirley raised 6 children, all who are married or have significant others, and now has 6 grandchildren. She is very active in their lives, helping with daycare and nanny cab, as well as attending many of their activities as she can. Now she should have a lot more time. I believe that they have already started to fill her calendar. Spending more time with her grandchildren is on her to-do list during retirement. Half of these kids are now registered nurses, something they never wanted to be, but apparently she set a good example.
And 2 of them went through our program here at CLC.
Yay.
Shirley started teaching part-time at the Brainerd Technical College in December of 1990. Prior to that, as I said, she was working at Crosby, and she enjoyed doing staff development. Working with new staff and new graduates, watching them gain confidence and developing their skills was very rewarding for her. A fellow co-worker suggested that they take the vocational education teaching courses. That was before the days of online and computers and everything like we have them now. So they'd hop in their car after working their day shifts at 3:30 and drive anywhere from 1 to 2.5 hours to wherever the class was being held, take the class, drive home that night, and be back to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. In 2004, she began working full-time here at CLC, while continuing to work 4 shifts every other weekend at Crosby. I'm not real sure how she managed to do all of that. In 2005, she went unlimited full-time status here and dropped back to part-time at Crosby. In 2013, after 37 years, she retired from Crosby to devote herself to full-time teaching and obtain her master's degree in nursing. We asked several different people, including her family and colleagues, for some funny stories. They keep telling me there aren't any, but this is one we did get from Shirley. It was her first actual day of teaching a basic nursing lab in the classroom at the old VOTEC. She was so nervous to be in the actual classroom and not the clinical setting that as she entered the lab, pushing the cart with the old Duquesne film strip projector on it, she caught her right hand between the cart and the door handle. It hurt like the dickens, but she did not want to be late, so she shook it off and started the class. Ironically, the class happened to be on skin and wound care. As she was lecturing, she began to feel something sticky on her hand. Looking down, and discovered that she had opened up the top of her hand about 5/8 of an inch, and the wound was bleeding quite freely. Since she was the new teacher, she wanted to give that good first impression, and since she wasn't familiar with where any first aid supplies were, she tried to ignore the wound. She finally got the protector going and frantically searched the cabinets for a Band-Aid and was not successful. So she wadded up some tissue and tried to nonchalantly apply pressure and continued with the lecture portion of the class. During the class break, she washed off the blood that was now running down her arm and contained the wound. After class was over, Jenny Holden, who was her supervisor at the time, asked her how things were going. Well, of course, Shirley stated everything was just fine. Shirley will never forget that day, as she has a scar to remind her of it.
Well, Shirley, you're an honorary member of the West Wing Wingettes. Okay? We have our own little name for our section of the building, like you, Adam. Okay? So for several years, I've been four of us, Shirley, Peggy, Julie Morgan, and I, that are always seem to be there at 6 o'clock or later. Even though Shirley won't be part of the group next fall, her spirit will be there with us. If any of the other nursing faculty is thinking about moving into her office, you might want to think twice because you might find yourself become a member of this elite group. Shirley gave me some thoughts about teaching over the years, and she's really enjoyed her many years of teaching at CLC in the practical nursing program, and most recently in the AD nursing program. Transitioning to electronic media has been a challenge for her at times, as she's a dedicated hard copy book person who likes to underline and write in the margins. So your family could probably give you some markers for your retirement gift if you're going to be busy.
I think she has a hotline to Sue. She just crashed her computer on Tuesday of this week so she wouldn't have to do any more work, I think. Shirley loves to read. On a busy week, she reads at least 2 books. When she's not busy, a lot more than that. Her favorites are historical romance novels. These were the top of the list when we Googled to see what novels they were. I know she's talking about getting a Kindle. I don't know. They are free to download if you get one. We know you like the hard copy, so we'll see where she goes with that. The things that Shirley is looking forward to in retirement. They like.
And that is actually a sign that Shirley has in her garden.
She's an avid gardener. I'm not sure if it's looking for this person or if she really enjoys her garden, but she has lots and lots of beautiful flowers and a beautiful yard. Other things that she's looking forward to in retirement are traveling, reading, spending time with her kids and grandkids. She just purchased this brand new pontoon, and it was delivered last weekend. And I understand she knows how to dock it. We're looking forward to the West Wing summer party being at her house this summer. Shirley also plans to keep her license current so she can substitute teach. She even said maybe by fall she's going to be so bored she'll be begging for work. She's going to help out with community projects as needed and continue to study and obtain certification in her medical surgical nursing.
I have to share a little story about the sign. Shirley was scrolling through her phone so we could pick out some pictures, and I spotted that, and I said, I have to have that for this. And I said, is that it? Where did you get? She said she bought that herself. So, she's got an ad out right in her own yard, right? Well, Shirley, we know that you're sad to retire, but your family's very excited for you. And so we'll give you a printed copy later of these nurse retirement rules. But it tells you basically, you probably know this better when you were working for Crosby than, and of course here too, because our lunch hours are not that long. We're always busy doing stuff. So it says for the first week, all meals should be eaten standing up and should consist of graham crackers, generic ginger ale, and a small amount of vanilla ice cream. On the second week, begin to sit down as you gobble popcorn out of a real bowl, but continue drinking generic ginger ale. On the third week, you should progress to all meals on a plate as tolerated and start burning your scrubs in a pit in the yard. Wear your goggles and paper mask as there will be fumes from God knows what that have been growing on them. And on week 4, tie your stethoscope into small knots, plant some flowers in your nurse's shoes, right up your alley, and you may also begin to answer your phone and cancel the caller ID to save money. So, all of us here at CLC, especially the wingettes, really have enjoyed your time with us, and congratulations on your retirement. Shirley, we'd love to hear from you. And Shirley has 2 daughters with her today, so she'll introduce them. And a grandson.
Well, it is an honor to have worked here at CLC. As they mentioned, I've seen many changes. I think Nancy mentioned all the changes that have happened over CLC, and I can prove it. I have a drawer full of name tags, different things, and I also have coffee mugs that have different colors and logos on them. Quite a collection of those, too, over the years. As Leanne mentioned, I do have some children with me. There is one on the way, but didn't make it. She is arriving, but I have my oldest daughter here, who's back there, Vanessa, or Rebecca Pacarina. And the youngest grandchild is my daughter, Heidi Bergsaller. So. One of the few things I'm going to miss from around here is all the things that Leanne mentioned about the wingette area. We have accomplished so much over the years with our hallway conversations and our hallway meetings. If we have a scheduled time, we don't get as much accomplished for some reason. I don't know why, but those hallway meetings, we would get a lot done, especially with the practical nursing program. And if the janitor Ike is around, I'd like to thank him. He would always come and check and make sure I was safe and okay. And when I was here in the evening, sometimes I wouldn't leave till 8 or later, and he would always come up 3-4 times and make sure that I was okay up there in the wing by myself. So I really appreciated his surveillance for me. There's my third daughter. That is Vanessa Loftus. I'm going to miss Gail's infectious laugh that she has, and her good mornings that she yells down the hall every morning. The pitter-patter and very determined footsteps of Gacy Garden as she walks down the hallway, and all the wonderful people I've met over the years here. So I really thank you for all your contributing to helping me grow and develop in my profession, as not only as a nurse, but as a teacher as well. Thank you.
Guess I better go over there, huh?
I'll be calling you back. Thank you, Shirley, for your 26 years. Pam Thompson will be leaving CLC in July of this year, enjoying an early retirement after 29 years and serving in multiple capacities. Pam began at Brainerd Staples Technical College, working for the Small Business Development Center. After merger, she took a faculty position in the CLC Accounting and Business Department, and most recently has served as Executive Director of the CLC Foundation, where she has provided excellent leadership. Speaking on behalf of Pam today is our President, Larry Lundblad.
we don't have to worry about the technology. I don't have a PowerPoint. Debbie didn't have time to put one together, so. I really had the joy of working with Pam since 2010. When I started to look at when she started the foundation, I was kind of surprised that time has gone by fast because there's been a lot of things going on with the foundation. You heard a little bit about Pam's background. She's a graduate of BCC, as many of you are and many people in the community. And she had the distinct honor of teaching at BCC for a short time and also at the Brainerd Technical College. So she was on both sides before the merger and certainly has been part of Central Lakes since MSCU came into being. I've really come to respect Pam in many ways. She's one smart, shrewd businesswoman. And she knows the deal when she sees one. She knows how to work on the detail. Several years ago, you remember Porwell Estate, one of our alums, unfortunately passed away, left a large bequest to the college, $1.1 million. We didn't have to hire attorneys. We had some attorneys giving us some advice, but Pam really helped, or did not help. She handled that whole estate. And she had to deal with attorneys in Massachusetts, and the estate was just finally settled here a short time ago, so it was over several years that Pam had to really remain focused on that. And we couldn't have done it without her, without hiring somebody and spending a lot of the money to do that. Pam came into the foundation with her keen business mind and put a lot of processes and things in place that we needed to have done, and so we're going to benefit a long time after Pam retires from the work that she's done. She also had a lot to do with a major project we were looking at a year and a half ago, building some housing. And again, she worked with contractors, she worked with consultants, and just did an outstanding job, and basically did the analysis that led to a decision that at this time we couldn't move forward. However, as she's leaving in the next few weeks, she's working on another project. Excuse me, the Pines have become available, and the foundation is interested in at least pursuing and seeing if there's a possibility. And so once again, we're using Pam's many talents to take a look at the property, take a look at a business plan, and to decide if we can move forward. So I would imagine Pam will be engaged to some degree as she leaves or after she has left. Pam also has been very instrumental in connections within the community, and having grown up here, she knows people, she knows the foundation directors, she's served on many boards in the community in various capacities, and so there's a network out there, and she was able to plug into that network and did a lot of work with estate planning. There are several plans that are resulting from her good work. We have another large bequest coming in our direction here shortly that I'm hoping Pam will get credit for when it's finalized, because again, it's taken a lot of work. Pam is at a lot of community events. We bump into each other all the time. She's constantly working and networking on behalf of the college, and so I have really appreciated that. She's been a good counsel to me, and making sure I'm aware of things, or if I needed to find out what was going on, Pam is one that I would contact and see and get some advice. So we're really going to miss Pam. You're going to miss Pam. I'm going to be gone too. So we're all going to miss Pam, I guess. But she's done a great job, and she wants to spend more time with family, and that shows that she has her priorities in place. So her husband Dennis is with us this morning, and Pam, if you want to come forward so we can, hey. Charlie said there was some latent talent that we're going to find out about here. So, Pam.
Thank you, Larry. You told me this was a classy act and I was to dress appropriately. So I bought something quite classy for you in your retirement getup. It'll go quite well with what you got last week. The fishing hat, the fishing shirt, and the fishing rod. So now you have a fishing tie! And it's easy, it's a clip-on, you can get it on right away. So I've been so blessed to have worked at Central Lakes College over these past years. And so this morning I want to share some of my most memorable memories of Central Lakes. So George has helped me, and like any good instructor, you have to have visual aids. So let me set the stage first. We got to keep the visual aids under wraps. So in the mid-90s, I was working at the Small Business Development Center, and I wrote a grant. I do that from time to time for the college. And I wrote a grant to get an invention and innovation specialist to help area inventors bring their product to market. Great idea. I'm convinced today I was drunk or on drugs. They funded it. So out I go, I hire an invention specialist. The invention specialist gets immediately overwhelmed. Every inventor you can imagine in the entire state of Minnesota was coming to CLC to see this specialist. So I decided to help with the overflow. So I walk in the conference room one day and this is sitting on the table and the gentleman's next to it. The inventor. I don't know about you, but to me it looks like the gunslinger casket from the Wild West. And he immediately goes into a spiel. It's handcrafted of the finest products. I have searched the world over for the softest muslin fabric to put inside. You can have it in any color or stain of your wishes. For an additional charge, we will engrave the top. Oh. But to be an invention and get a patent, it has to do something. I think we already have the patent on the casket, probably several years ago. Several 100 years ago. So then, I got the inventor's smile. Oh, now what's coming? My casket is multifunctional. Larry, you're a doctor. What's the other function of a casket? Multifunctional, you say? Yeah. Handcrafted fine furniture that goes wonderful in any room in your home. This unit can accommodate books, knickknacks, works of art, and it is specially designed to have room for a 26-inch television on top. It can be used as an entertainment center. And the cover neatly stores behind the unit. You laugh. One thing I learned very early, you do not laugh at an inventor and his invention. You will be the recipient of severe bodily injury. All you do is take the shelves out at the appropriate time when you are in need of the alternative use and put in your soft muslin and put the top on. I can't take it no more, folks. I can't hold the laughter in, so I start to cough. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. I dash out, run to my office, I get a Kleenex. I have the biggest, loudest belly laugh I've ever had, dry my eyes, grab my water, and go back to the conference room. I come around the corner. There's the staff all lined up in a line. And they go, cabinets to caskets, cabinets to caskets. Really? I'm in there suffering through this and you're writing this guy a jingle? This is not helping. Don't worry, I'll retrieve these when I... But you know, Larry, you need some furniture. You've been getting quite a bit of it. Like, Karen, don't you have room for this next to the coffee table? So inventors had a great fascination with the weather. Minnesota weather isn't always nice, so they're always trying to come up with a solution for Minnesota weather. So one day I walk in, and here's what we got. This is no ordinary snowplow. What we have is Mr. Jetman. He had taken a snowplow truck, and he needed funds to mount a jet engine on the front. Myron, you're gonna like this thing. You can clean entire parking lots in minutes instead of hours. Think of the snow we could move, he said. Let me guess, you only need $1 million, right? How did you know? Only $1 million? He said, I've been over to the Department of Transportation. Those boys, they want this thing. But they told me I gotta be able to demonstrate it. So can you find me some funding so that I can build one? I only need $1 million. Well, you know, I'm thinking to myself, maybe the guy's got something here, right? Who am I to say? So, you can blow parking lots up. Yeah. What about roads? Yeah. 2-lane roads? Oh yeah, clean both lanes at the same time. You know? My secondary model? You can blow 4 lanes all at once. Think what this will mean in the metro. The DOT is going to order these things by the crate loads. I'm kind of looking at it. Oh, okay. So then, you know, I always ask questions, right, Larry? Too many? So I say, what happens when you meet a car? Oh, there can't be any cars on the road. Okay, so too many inventors were fascinated with weather. So after him, it started getting nice out. We go into tornado season. You've probably seen the destruction that happened in Oklahoma. So one day I go in, and I got this bad boy. This is no ordinary squirt gun. This, my friends, is the tornado zapper. All you do is point and shoot at the base of the tornado, and it dissipates. My special formula is in that tank there, he tells me, and I can take any tornado out. This guy won the tenacity challenge. He started calling, emailing me, wanting another appointment. Only wanted $1 million. I couldn't get rid of him. He'd show up unexpected. So finally one day, I said, you know, Mr. Tornado Zapper, you're gonna have to come up with some data. Nobody's gonna take you seriously until you get some data. Okay, I'll get data. Like where? Well, like from a weather research facility, you know, like in Boulder, Colorado. Oh, okay, off he goes. Good, I I thought he was gone for sure. Nobody's gonna give him data, right? So all of a sudden, I'm in another meeting a week later. In comes the staff. Pam, you gotta take this call right now. I think it's really important. You gotta take this call right now. Okay, I excuse myself from the other meeting, go to my office, pick up the phone. This is Pam Thompson. Ms. Thompson, this is Dr. Bernard Schmidt of the National Atmospheric Research Center in Boulder, Colorado. Did you by chance refer a Mr. Tornado Zapper to us? Kinda. There's a bit of a pause. He says, if you ever refer another person to us, I will personally zap you. And oh, by the way, I can do it. Many of our inventors brought their inventions in bags. Had to sign my blood, give away the firstborn, sign a release form that I would never steal the idea. They were dreadfully afraid you would steal their idea, like I want to steal the tornado zapper. Oh, I should tell you, he didn't give up. He came up with a second product. It was when we were having some fires in Minnesota, and he came up with a special potion again that you spray on your buildings and the fire will go right by you and not burn your building. He neglected to tell us it was petroleum based. So this was George. George fit the stereotype of an inventor. George came in. I had the specialist with me this time after the tornado zapper experience. Should have had a clue. That guy pulled up in a purple van with red dust on it from the Iron Range. I think he'd been drinking some of his own potions. So George shows up. George sitting there with his bag. George looks like the guy from Back to the Future, the wild professor. He had the professor hair, dirty glasses, plaid flannel shirt, striped pants, and a checkered suit coat. I found out later he dressed up for the event. So I talked with George. I need your help. And finally I got George to take it out of the bag. And of course, when they opened the bag, what would they do? Ta-da, a big smile, right? And I'm sure you all know what this is. George is just beaming. I can't believe you don't know what it is. It's a taco holder. Mine's a little cruder than his was. He has a specialized taco holder for holding tacos. Nothing spills out when you put your taco in the taco holder. I'm thinking, oh boy, okay. So I assigned a specialist to work with him because I've got other things to do. And about a few weeks later, I get a phone call. Pam, it's George. Hey, George, how's it going? I just had a call and tell you. I got a meeting with DuPont. DuPont? Yeah, in Chicago. Chicago? I was wondering how the guy found our office, let alone Chicago. So he's going to go to Chicago. So I immediately called the specialist. I said, please don't have George dress up to go to Chicago. So they go out to Chicago, meets with DuPont. Week later, George is on the phone. Pam, I'm back from Chicago, yeah? DuPont called today. Oh, I see. Yeah, they want to make it out of styrofoam. Well, is that bad, George? Well, no, but, you know. But I'm going to need your help again. You are? Yeah. Need to work on finding a really good product for hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids, George? Yeah. Because I'm going to have a mean case from sitting on 1.2 million. I never doubted another inventor. I never laughed very loudly at another inventor, and especially not at the two women that wanted to bottle water and and sell it? So today, I have been so blessed to work at Central Lakes College. I've been so blessed to hold various positions throughout this campus and get to know many of you. I couldn't have done what I did without the support of my husband, Dennis, and without the support and I'm very happy that I have special guests here today of Dolores Nelson, retiree of CLC, along with my friend Deb McCarthy, as well as a couple of friends that just left to attend a funeral, Pat Altrechter and Marley Larson. I have been so blessed each and every day to watch what each of you do for students, changing lives one student at a time. I have been so blessed to watch you work with them, encourage them, give them hope, opportunity, and most of all, a future. So today, my esteemed colleagues, I salute you, the greatest of Central Lakes College. Thank you.
And thank you, Pam, for your 29 years of service to CLC and its former institutions. One of the first faculty members I met when I joined CLC, then BCC, was Bruce Eastman. I still remember Bruce coming into the suite to welcome me to the college. We were both much younger then. That was 29 years ago. And we were both just beginning our careers at CLC. I have to say that Bruce has provided me with some entertaining moments over the years, and I will miss his keen sense of humor. Bruce will be joining Donna Sally, who is also retiring. Both have taught for the English department for numerous years at CLC. I hear they have just sold their house and will be downsizing so that they can be on the road promoting Donna's new novel to be published this fall. I wish you both happy travels. I know we will be hearing more from the Eastmans as they pursue new pathways. Patrick and Matt, would you come to the stage to give Bruce that send-off that he deserves?
The first people I met and got to know when I came to this college 25 years ago were Bruce and Donna. It was at, and I have to say, if any of you had anything to do with the planning of the event I'm about to describe, I apologize in advance, but it was at probably the most cheerless Christmas party I've ever attended. It really took the Christ out of Christmas and replaced it with Christ. It was at a facility they've since razed, just tore it down, I think because of that Christmas party. But my then wife, they've seen me through a couple of these, my then wife and I sat down at a table because we didn't know anyone, and there was this other couple there sitting. And through a game of some kind of bingo or something that had to do with Christmas carols, where the top prize was, and I kid you not, a bag of stick-on Christmas bows. That was the big prize of the evening. But you were there, I remember. Somehow through that evening, we survived what was an interesting evening of entertainment and lack thereof in some cases. And that evening, I think it was after the party, we went to Perkins to purge ourselves somewhat of what we had just encountered. And then ended up having dinner the next night and then playing cards the night thereafter and on and on and on, and became really fast friends. My best friends that I've had here for 25 years. And it all comes back almost like a dream when I think about it, because I was just sitting the other day just sitting, reflecting in a dream state.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Patrick, can I ask you a personal question? Have you ever had one of those dreams where all you want to do is just get something simple done in the dream and you can't do it? So you spend the whole time running around trying to get an answer out of somebody and they won't tell you anything. I tell you what, I had that dream last night on the eve of my retirement, and I must have been watching too many political shows and commentaries because a strange cast of characters appeared on it.
Really?
And I wrote it down in my dream journal.
Oh.
I'd like to read from that if that's okay.
That's good. I'd like that.
Okay. I mean, this dream was like Kafka-esque. It was so it started out, it was in the library, and I was over standing by my old office door, and I look down and I see kind of by Gary's door, Bernie Sanders waving his arms back.
Really?
I said, okay, well, I walked up to him and I said, well, maybe you can help me out, Senator. It's like I'm going to be retiring and I don't know what to do. Here's what you do. I'm sorry, did you say doo-doo? Is it? Here's what you do. First, and this is a huge problem, this system run by the corporate elite needs to do a better job of acknowledging the valuable contributions that adjuncts make in the system. It helps if you chant my name. That's what I'm used to. There we go. It's just a skit. Does the name Donna Solly ring a bell? Well, actually, Donna and I are... Wolf, excuse me, Wolf, I'm answering. It's my turn to talk, Wolf. Please stop him. Easy, Bernie. We're not at a debate here. All I was saying was, for years, For years, Donna has taught as an adjunct. She's publishing a novel, she's written a play, she's authored countless poems, essays, short stories. She's a valuable asset to this college, and she's also retiring today. Now, let me ask you this. Why the hell are we not celebrating her retirement? Secondly, for years, this administration has told us that CIS was too big to fail. Yet we are squandering valuable human resources, sending people to the far ends of the state for collaboration, sending people like Jeff Johnson to Nevis. What the hell is in Nevis? I'll tell you. 1% of the total population of Hubbard County. That's what's in Nevis. That amounts to a goat and a lamppost. It's ridiculous. As president, I'm going to break it up. Bernie, you never answered my question. All I wanted to know is what I was supposed to do once I retire. You want details? You want a specific plan? Yeah. I got 3 words for you. Go ask Hillary. So next, I'm walking down by the corridor by the weight room, and I notice a guy in a jogging suit lurking outside the women's locker room. He smells like McDonald's. His back was turned to me, but when I got closer to him, I heard him say, 29 years. 29 years. President Clinton? Is that you? That's right, Beastman. That's right, Beastman. You're looking at the next First Lady. What are you doing outside the women's, never mind. Look, I talked to Bernie, he didn't help me at all, and so, well, I sent Hillary an email with some questions. Oh, she got it, but she probably deleted it. Listen, Beast, 29 years of teaching English at a 2-year college. I feel your pain. Well, that's great. Maybe you can help me. You know, tomorrow's the day, and I love the intellectual aspects of collegiate life, and I'd like to keep that going, even after retirement. Do you have any suggestions? You should do what I did. After retirement, open up an office as far away from your wife as you possibly can. And then hire a bunch of interns. He said that. He said that. Dream. So that's terrible advice. What are you talking about? Listen, Bill, if I can call you that, it's like after 29 years, retiring feels like one long exhale. I know what you mean, Brucey. I smoked marijuana, and I did not exhale. I thought that was inhale. It depends on your definition of in. Clinton out. Did you do that? I think I did. This one? You got something? Where did you got something? I promise this will be the last. Left hand. Okay, so, okay, Clinton. Thank you all, thank you. Call me, it's good, all right. Then he disappeared in a haze of smoke. The next thing I know, I'm standing in the greenhouse, and there's a guy at the far end punching out all the windows. I start yelling and running toward him until I realize that it's former Vice President Al Gore. Do you remember Al Gore? I said, Vice President, what are you doing here? Well, I understand y'all are having a spirited debate about online education. I just want people to remember that I invented the internet. Well, with all due respect, Vice President, that's not true. Well, I invented something. The Republicans said I invented global warming. That's got to count. Look, I need some advice on what to do once I retire. You're basically retired. What kinds of things do you do for recreation? Well, most days I just hop in the Escalade and drive around. Last week I drove to Florida looking for that Chad fellow that cost me the election in 2000. Florida, yeah, warmer state does sound nice. Just wait 5 years, Bruce. This whole planet's going to be hotter than Satan's armpit. Driving around really isn't my idea of fun. What else do you do? Well, sometimes I go out and measure icebergs. That doesn't sound like fun at all. Well, to each his own. When I find that Chad fella, I'm going to put him in a lockbox, and he ain't never going to get out. Well, Patrick, from there, I hope this dream is over, but all of a sudden I'm sitting in the Mad Hugger Cafe drinking coffee when a slight fellow wearing a scarf and a fedora sits down next to me. It's the author Truman Capote. Bruce, I was looking through your syllabi, and I noticed that you teach a lot of Twain and Faulkner and Fitzgerald. I'm wondering why you never taught any of my stories. Well, because they're depressing, Truman. Who wants to read about a family being murdered? I mean, come on. Well, not all of them are depressing. I wrote one about a serial killer who sent little miniature coffins to his victims right before he killed them. Yeah, that's my point exactly, Truman. It's terrible stuff. What about Breakfast at Tiffany's? That's disturbing on a whole different level. Listen, Truman, during your life, you were never one to hold back your thoughts about your contemporaries. And I got to be honest, when I think of who's going to take over the department once I'm gone, it makes me nervous. It means that Matt Ford is now the senior member. Well, you should be worried. That boy's got identity issues. He talks in all these voices, yet he doesn't know which one is his.
I've heard that.
He keeps hitting the monitor, and you barely say hi, but then you put him on stage, and he thinks he's Dickens acting out Oliver Twist. And then you got that Lindquist girl, and she's assessing everything under the sun. It's ridiculous. Deblock thinks he's old MacDonald or Noah or something biblical with all those goats and chickens and children. Marcotte's hogging up all the good awards. I'm not sure I even want to ask this, but when you weren't writing, what did you do for fun? I like to drink whiskey and go birding. Well, Patrick, just when I thought that was it turned into a nightmare.
No.
There I am, lying on a beach in Turks and Caicos. Don't crowd me. You can come back. I'm lying on a beach in Turks and Caicos sipping a cheap scotch that cheap SOB Fort bought me for a retirement gift. When all of a sudden he shows up. And for once in his life, he's not impersonating me. And he says, Bruce, I just want you to know, hey, that's my voice. Bruce, I just want you to know that I've looked up to you professionally and literally for the last 15 years. I can only imitate people who I like or who I find fascinating. And you, my friend, meet both those categories. It's your voice. I know that sounds like Marlowe chasing after Kurtz, but I find myself walking around the house talking in your voice. If you damn kids would just keep the racket down, maybe your father could get some work done. Look, I'm jealous that you're retiring. I don't know how much longer I can take it. I mean, how many more years will I have to read essays with sentences that say, quote, I'm not the only one who believes that Oswald wasn't the lone asinine in the murder of President Kennedy.
He was also Ted Cruz's father.
That's right. Or for my proposal essay, I chose to write about the safety of horseback riders when riding in pubic areas or in traffic areas. Does it get any better, Bruce? No, it doesn't, kid, but you know what? At the end of the day, the best you can do is hold up collegiate standards. Don't back down from your principles. It's not going to win you any popularity awards, but that's not the point, is it? And he had this dopey look on his face, and he was gone. That's when I finally woke up. Look, Patrick, I'm sorry I interrupted your speech. I'll get out of your way here. These things drag on longer than the Academy Awards, so I'm taking my leave. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close on a serious note. After that, I mean, well, I could never top that. Except maybe Dad and Abbott do water bread. And what the tarn siren hell are you doing here, beastie, retiring like this? It's a little in-joke you and I have. On your wall, Mr. Beastman, on your door is a sign that says, Bruce Eastman helps those who help themselves. And a lot of people think you have a God complex because of that statement, but they don't know you. That statement encapsulates the standards you have and have always had for helping students, and that we all should have. That we are there for them if they are willing to be there for themselves. If they will help themselves, you will be there for them, and we should be there as well. Not to do the work for them, not to just pass them along, not to give them something they themselves know they have not earned, but to be a living participant in that. If my daughter had come to school here, she would have taken comp from you. And I've heard from so many students of the way that your teaching has affected them and made them better people. And we've seen it in our classes when we get your students who then come to our classes. And that's the best testimony any instructor could ever have. I only can think of you and Donna as Bruce and Donna. Let's go see Bruce and Donna. Let's go have dinner with Bruce and Donna. Let's play cards with Bruce and Donna. And I know in recent years, not so much, because the busier I got, the more reclusive I've become, which is my feeling. Thank you for being a friend. And everybody here should thank you for upholding the kinds of standards all of us applaud at this college. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Donna. Wow. How do you respond to something like that? Wow. I feel like I'm watching a movie on the Lifetime channel with my wife here. It's been a privilege to work at CLC. The first year I came, within the second week I was here, I got a $5,000 raise.
And that was because of the renegotiation of the contract. And it was a wonderful thing, and it kept me. It kept me year after year after year. Not just the money, but the freedom to teach the way I wanted to teach. And my whole career has been an effort to empower students. And I know this, I'll simplify this. That method for me is primarily asking them to stand on their feet and articulate what they think. Whether they're wrong or right isn't the important thing. It's that they got up and they had something to say. And I complimented them for it. I may have corrected them, but I complimented them for it. And when they get used to that, you see the empowerment and how they handle themselves. That's what we all should do. We all should do that. My life has been in a book for over 50 years, and that's where I live. I'm a pretty private person and not real sociable, as many of you know, but life of the mind, I guess. So one of the best things that has happened for me since I came to Brainerd was that I managed to talk my wife into, or talk Donna Solly into being my wife. I met her at a writers' conference when she was teaching at Concordia, and she's my babe. I don't know, when technology took over, I was in GroupWise for the first time, and I was looking down this huge list of names, and I saw Brainerd faculty, so I double-clicked that, and then I went down alphabetically and found Donna Solly, and I said, wow, as if I was classifying. And I sent her the first email on campus that said, lick me, baby. And promptly sent it to the entire faculty. That was the initiation into the internet, and anyway, what a wonderful start it was for us.
I said, don't you ever send me something like that ever again.
And guess where he ended up?
Yeah. Sure. Anyway, I won't keep you much longer, but what I do want to end with a poem, with language, and it's a nice little poem. It's pretty short, but can I do it? It's called The Heart. It's by my wife. One summer evening, my father slit the smooth belly of the largest trout, and the coolness of it slid out. Its eyes wide, unseeing. With the tip of his knife, he placed the still beating heart on the flat surface of a rock next to me. Disconnected, it lived. Its chambers struggled, pumping air, not blood. And we watched, unspeaking, as it throbbed slower and slower until it stopped, until the caring went out of it. This heart will never stop caring about this place. Do it right. Do it right every time. Thank you.
So now we move on to Linda Bartella, who officially retired the end of October 2015. I think Linda was one of our longest-serving staff members, a total of 38 years for our various institutions. Linda began her position back in 1977 at Staples Technical College, which then became Brainerd Staples Technical College, and finally CLC. Linda has always worked front and center with our students, serving for many years on the front line as information specialist in student services. Later in Linda's career, she joined the AIM staff on the Staples campus, and when her work ended on behalf of the grant, she moved back to the Brainerd campus, again serving in records and registration, where she provided excellent service right up to the day of her retirement. We are so glad that Linda's returned to join us today, celebrating her retirement and years of service to our institution. Speaking on Linda's behalf are her former co-workers, Betty Street and Sampade Lehman.
I have a thing, a flash drive in. And I haven't seen
Good morning, everyone. It's going to be really hard for us to make you guys laugh after that beautiful act they did before us. We are going to try our level best. So we are here to introduce our one super special coworker, Linda. Linda has seen a lot of changes through her experience at Central Lakes College. Besides the multiple name changes and mergers that she has to adapt, you can see her hairstyle adapted too, right? As Nancy mentioned, she has held most of the positions, though all clerical, in nature, doing over for more than 38 years, almost 38 years, right, Linda? Please don't cry. I wasn't there, but she has told me a few of her good old days stories. She remembers working the Windows compute counter at Staples to register students and collect their tuition and fees. It looked like the old box office windows with a small ledge on the outside of an opening that would slide down the door at closing time. Her dog sat at her feet, can you imagine that? And staff smoked at their desks. After listening to this story, whenever I watch Mad Men, how many of you know what Mad Men show is? I always imagine Linda in her puffy dresses smoking at the desk. I don't know if she was a smoker or not, but I always imagine like she's be sitting there with a hairdo and, and having pets around your feet, and I don't think that's why I think people were more happy then, right? Because you could have your pet around you. I first met her at one of my AIMS meetings. She was very quiet in the meeting. I get gravitated to quiet people very easily. The first thing I notice is somebody in the meeting. Because I'm not a quiet person, so I think opposite attracts. And my mother always said, in meeting who is speaking a lot, they are knowledgeable. Who is quieter, they are wise. So I think I want to be wise, but people who know me, they know how much I talk. In my opinion, people who are quiet, they are very wise, they are very strong-willed. So my first impression about Linda was that she's very strong-willed, able to keep herself quiet right now and listen to other people, and very wise at the same time. As I got to know her in past 2 years, she had come across to me as most welcoming and loving colleague you can ever have. My path at CLC was easy and smooth because of my two dear co-workers, Linda and Betty Street. Without them, I would have been a lost puppy. They welcomed me and included me in their lives with warm heart and open arms. As you all must have noticed, I have Indian accent. The way I notice, most of you have Minnesotan accent. So when I'm trying to tell a joke or something to Linda or to Betty, and I'll see Linda getting confused look, like. So there two things would happen then. Either I will repeat everything again very slowly to Linda, or Betty will jump in and she will say what I said just before her. And after we have done this, Linda would say, "Oh, that's what you meant." And then she will laugh, like so. And so she will always laugh on my jokes after everybody has done laughing, because she didn't understand them because of my Indian accent. Linda is a patient person, very inclusive. She is ISRS guru to me. I have always, any problem I had, I always called her. She had helped me right away. And believe me, I have worked in other departments, in other colleges, and people are not that friendly or inclusive to you. But CLC, and especially Betty and Linda, and my whole team as AIM was really grateful to me. And and I think it's a mirror effect. Linda must have been mirroring all the things she has absorbed over here in past 38 years, and that's what she was reflecting. And I'm thankful, and I'm lucky to got a chance to work with you, Linda, and I hope I stay in your friend list forever.
Yeah, the first time I met Linda, she came to Staples to assist with the Easy Enrollment Day. The regular lab was already booked, so they used the library computer commons to do the registration sessions. She came in and introduced herself, and then asked if I had ISRS on my computer, which I answered yes. She then asked permission to use it for a minute. I agreed again and then moved to allow her to sit in my chair. She checked a few things and said, "Oh, this is no good." "Not good at all." She says, "You don't have any of the screens I need." Then she looked at me as if asking why I had ISRS with no access to anything useful. I raised my shoulder and said, "I only do the graduate placement and I don't need any of the other screens," so they didn't give them to me. Well, she smiled warmly then and asked if she could log into my computer as herself. I nodded and proceeded to watch her adding codes, clicking stuff, changing screens, getting information I had never seen before. She saw me watching and apologized for taking up my time. I told her it was okay. I had another computer in the other office and that I could use that and allow her to use my desk until registration was over. That experience came in handy when I moved to the AIM grant as an advisor. We hired Linda to move back to Staples to work with the AIM grant. She was an ISRS guru and an expert where it came to student services. She trained me how to use the system and told Nick when I needed more screens so that I could get my job done. She also knew all the policies and procedures for registration, add, drop, appeal, you name it, she knew it, and she trained me. She spent a lot of her time keeping all of us and our data organized. During that time, I witnessed her attention to detail, her dedication to complete her work to the best of her ability. If she didn't have the answer to my question, she knew who did. She would go out of her way to help anyone in need, from her coworkers to the students who came through our door. She was flexible and willing to do whatever the task was assigned, while keeping a bright smile on her face. Even though there was a lot of turmoil in the grant, she remained calm, positive, and upbeat. She had originally planned to retire when the grant ended in 2016, but then her position was cut short and she was asked to return to the Brainerd campus. Even though it did not match her plans, she worked devotedly to meet the needs of the students she faced every day on the other side of that counter, until the end. She was courteous and kind to everyone with whom she came in contact. We have a few more quotes from some other coworkers. This one's from Nick Heiser. I've had the privilege of working with Linda for the past 6 years in a number of different capacities. Linda is one of the friendliest, positive, and nicest individuals I have ever worked with. What is even more impressive about it is that she has worked at the front-line staff in most of her time at CLC, as often the front-line staff are subject to many of the emotionally charged moments from anyone who comes up to the front counters. Linda approached everything I assigned her with grace and humility and was a class act through her last day of work. I will truly miss Linda and the way she carried herself throughout her time at CLC, but wish her the best in her retirement. That's from Nick. Becky Best said, I had the pleasure of working with Linda on the AIM grant as well as when she worked with the Student Services. Linda is one of the most kind-hearted and compassionate people I have ever met. She truly cares about the students and her colleagues. It was a pleasure working with her, and I wish her many happy years of retirement. We don't know who said this one, but Linda lived in Staples and did not choose to have her worksite changed to Brainerd. Despite this, she has never, ever complained, and she also never ages. And this one comes from Amy Metter-Hines. How does one sum up Miss Linda's career at CLC? Is it possible? Can you imagine 38 working years at what is now called CLC? I had heard about this sweet little lady named Linda, but never had the opportunity to actually work with her or get to know her, who she really was. Well, that all changed in March of 2015 when the administrators decided to relocate Linda to the campus information and services on the Brainerd campus. What a blessing little Miss Linda was to our team. I was the lucky one to have the privilege to sit right next to her, window number 2. And the last few months before her retirement, I was really going to have the Linda experience. Wow. Everything I had heard about her was true. So here goes. Adjectives from A to Z to describe Miss Linda. Affectionate, bright, charming, determined, easygoing, friendly, generous, hardworking, impartial, judicious, kind, loyal, modest, neat, optimistic, passionate, quiet, rational, sincere, thoughtful, unassuming, versatile, warm-hearted, zennial, youthful, and last but not least, zippy. Happy retirement, Miss Linda. My best wishes to you and Dave. So even though we tease her about her blonde or senior moments, and how many times she was killed by the intruder during the lockdown practice. We cherish her time that we spent with her and value her as a true friend. Thank you, Linda, for all you did for CLC and the students for all those years. We love you.
Okay, I'm not much for speeches, so I'm not going to say much other than I've been blessed to be able to work here 38 years, and I've got to know a lot of people, been friends with a lot of people at Brainerd and Staples campus, and I miss everyone, but most of all, I'm enjoying my retirement, especially with my husband Dave, who we've been married almost 46 years. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
And before we start with our recognition of our president, Larry Lundblad, I'd like to just take a moment and say Betty Street is going to be leaving us. She's not retiring, but we are seeing the AIM grant coming to an end. And I just wanted to thank and have you all thank Betty Street for her wonderful service to our institution. Well, we're down to the last one. I first met Larry at the MSCF negotiations table about 14 years ago. His hair was a lot darker then. But he was a well-respected team member. His opinion on matters related to contract and academic affairs was often sought. When the presidency at CLC opened, I remember mentioning it at the table, hoping that Larry might consider applying. I knew at that time Larry had been a finalist at another Minskew institution. Needless to say, I was excited when I saw his name as an applicant, and here we are 10 years later. CLC has experienced many changes and has received a lot of positive recognition, excuse me. Oops. A lot of positive recognition, Larry, under Larry's leadership. He has built many lasting relationships in our service communities and made real connections with our CLC students. Their appreciation of that connection was so evident in their conversations during the search process. They were looking for someone who would be as engaged and approachable as our current president. Over the years, Larry and Karen have been known as CLC's greatest cheerleaders, attending many of the sporting and other college events that we've offered. And I know it also hasn't necessarily been an easy 10 years for a college president. We have seen dramatic ups and downs in enrollment, continued budget constraints, the need to meet increasing and multiple demands with dwindling resources, system office mandates, changes in leadership, completion of a self-study for continued accreditation, and the pursuit of grants and other external funding sources, just to name a few. In fact, for 10 years, Larry has had to put up with me being next door. I know he often wonders what's going on behind those closed doors. And yes, I agree with you, Larry. I can be a little stubborn at times. You'll find Larry in his office early in the morning. He beats most of us in, and he's been at the college working many weekends. I still remember when Deb first told me at the time she saw him in shorts one weekend. Larry, I'm sorry, but we really did have a good chuckle over that one. But seriously, I want to acknowledge the serious commitment of time and energy that Larry has made to CLC over the years. You've been a wonderful boss, and I very much have enjoyed working with you, and I hope I've made your job a little easier at times. This is the last time, as I said earlier, that you and I will be on this stage together hosting this event. With knowing that comes a realization of ending traditions, but I also hope it provides an opportunity for new beginnings, and that is what I wish for you and Karen. Larry, I think we all know the importance CLC has played in both yours and Karen's lives over the last 10 years, and we thank you for your leadership and service. I know you will be long remembered by the employees and students who have passed through CLC's doors. And with that, Kari, I know, has a few words she would like to add to that tribute.
Good morning. This will be the serious part because I don't do funny well, so sorry about that. It's hard to put into words the accomplishments and impact that Larry has provided to CLC, our communities, Minskew, and higher education over his 38 years of service. Larry's last 10 years of service have been here at CLC, where he has accomplished many great things. First, from a facilities perspective, Larry has successfully lobbied and received funding from the legislature for just under $12 million to improve our facilities during his tenure, not counting HEPRA and all the other infrastructure projects. We've completed heavy equipment and music additions, 3 science lab renovations, an academic classroom initiative, completed the Staples campus renovation, and now we're in process with the Brainerd campus student services renovation. We've balanced many budgets, dealt with CFI fluctuations, testified at the legislature, and written financial recovery plans. We've all heard or know about his leadership in areas such as concurrent enrollment, agriculture, securing the 2 Department of Labor grants, and serving on many boards, Lakewood Health System, Rural Minnesota SEP, and all the community events he's a part of. In my opinion, what truly sets Larry apart is his advocacy for students, whether it's in the classroom or shop, on the athletic field, or on the theater stage. Larry truly cares about each and every one of our students' college experience, their families, and their future. He encourages them to have a voice in their education and brings the student conversations and experiences into our college discussions so we can better know and understand their opinions and where they are coming from. You will find Larry in the hallways, talking with students, getting to know them and their stories. I have heard directly from so many students how approachable Larry is. They so appreciate the fact that he talks with them, asks them how things are going, how their family is, and then they're amazed that he remembers those details when he sees them again later. This type of engagement and support of students really makes a difference. During the presidential search process this year, all college groups came together to talk with the chancellor about what we need in a college president. And there were some consistent themes that came through all the conversations. We need a president who understands rural community colleges and who takes an active role in our college and community. We need a president who knows and wants to know students by name, someone who attends student activities, serves on local boards, someone who's involved in the community and has a willingness to connect with the students. We need a president who's personable, who connects with college employees, who walks around and has intentional conversations with us so we feel part of the team. It struck me that many of the qualities that we said we were looking for in a president, that's what we have in Larry. Someone who truly cares about our students, the employees, and the communities that we serve. He has built and maintained so many relationships with our partners, and he genuinely cares. I'd like to thank Larry for his leadership here at CLC. He has truly made a lasting impact on CLC and the work that we do. I know I will miss him, but wish he and Karen all the best in retirement. Thank you, Larry.
You know, presidents come and presidents go. I've been here a long time, you know, and I've seen 4 of them. There was Take No Prisoners, Sally Yaney. That was her leadership style. Then we had Joe Opatz, who was really auditioning for a bigger role and got it and moved on. And then Joe Birmingham, and I have no words for Joe Birmingham because I just don't. I first met Larry in a airport hotel room, interview room, someplace like that. Airport Hilton, thank you, because I was on the search committee for the presidency when Larry was going to be hired. And I don't know, Larry, may have been, you were the 5th person that day out of a bunch of people. Maybe I was tired, maybe you were tired. I just wasn't impressed, I gotta tell you. I wasn't. I said so at the time. I think I've even told you this. And I said so. Nancy, you were on the committee? I said, because Nancy was saying, this guy's really good. Man, where do you see this guy? He's great. And I wanted this pistol-packing mama who ended up down at St. Cloud. And boy, am I glad we didn't get my way. You've heard stories. I know. But you know what? And it takes me some effort to say this, but I was wrong. I was wrong in my impressions. I was wrong. Wrong. Is that enough? Or you want one more? Wrong. Okay. Because, I mean, like Nancy's alluded to it, Kari's alluded to it. We have had boom times, students just, everywhere, and the money was flowing like water. And yeah, we had initiatives and hiring people and all that fun time that comes with having such a huge amount of students running around here. Not just the economic benefit, but the energy in the hallways and so on. And then we've had some leaner times, and we've had stuff flowing downhill from Minskew that we've had to deal with, that were initiatives that were just wretched, that at least from my point of view. We've had that stupid CFI index thing to wrestle with, which on many occasions you've heard me say, just ignore it. What are they going to do? Well, they'll write us a nasty letter from HLC. So what? Ignore it and spend the money. This is the kind of dialogue we have in shared governance. And all through that, Larry, I got to tell you, through all the volatility, through all of the upheavals, you've been just a steady, calm, sturdy influence, a sturdy presence. And I so appreciate that. The fireworks I did not see in the hotel room at the Hilton, wherever it was. I don't know where it was. You do a presidential search, you'll know. You got to. The fireworks I didn't see there, it was a good thing. It was a good thing I didn't see fireworks and a kind of pull out the 6 guns and shoot in the air and let's go get them team kind of a thing, because what we've needed for 10 years, and I had to check this before I came in. You've been president for 10 years, and I've been faculty president for the same 10 years. Insane. So you and I have kind of worked loyal opposition to your administration for these 10 years. What we've needed is that kind of steady management. And I'm glad you didn't listen to me on many occasions when I said ignore the CFI, or we would be on somebody's list and facing those kinds of problems that other colleges are facing. And I'm glad that you didn't do some of the rash things that we as faculty really wanted you to do and tried to get you to do. But I'll tell you this, at shared governance, you always gave us our say. We didn't always get our way, but we got our say. And that's all we could really ask for in any governance structure. So, as I said, presidents come, presidents go. And from one soon-to-be ex-president to another, well done. Well done.
Thank you. I'm going over that interview in my mind. I'm trying to think, okay, no, I don't really remember it, though I do remember before the interview, I was going to go check my tie and I walked into the women's restroom. So maybe I was a little bit thinking about that. So luckily nobody was in there, but I noticed there weren't any urinals. It was time to get out of there. So. Well, this has been a great 10 years, and I've really appreciated every one of you in the room here and all the great work that you've done and helped me to do. It's not, when as a president, I never thought of myself as up here. I've thought of myself on the level. And that's the way I think we've kind of operated. Was I going to do this? Okay. If I get mad about something, maybe that'll keep me from doing this. But anyway, it didn't work. I'm also imagining all of you without your clothes, too. So. And I don't remember what I was saying, so anyway. But it has been good, and we've had our ups and downs as we've heard. But one of the things we've got is a strength administratively of really being able to work with our bargaining units, unions here. And a lot of the credit goes to Nancy, a lot of the credit goes to Kari. You know, we do have our times, we do have our moments, but when you look around the system, I think there are other colleges that really struggle all the time. And we've avoided that, but we haven't really just backed down. We've been focused on what we should be doing for students. And there's a lot more we could be doing, should be doing. And, you know, in the future, I know that things will continue to move forward here because of the great folks that you are. And so we'll be watching as things continue to roll out, rally behind the new president, new energy coming in. The pieces are there to really go from good to great and really look to the future, embrace the future. The times when change is swirling around, it's easy to retreat and look back and try to live in the past. Can't do that. And so I just really encourage you to stay focused on the students, not just student-friendly, but student-focused, and great things will continue to happen. I want to thank faculty and staff here for all your great work, the administrative team, and I want to get into detail because I can't do it we'll do that later. But I do want to talk or just acknowledge two folks. Debbie, of course, at the end over here, just really outstanding assistant. Couldn't have done it without her. She knows all my quirks. When we do PowerPoints, I was changing it to the last minute, and after she got over that after 10 years, she was okay with it. I should say, okay, I know this isn't going to be the final one, so anyway, we got her done, and really appreciated just all the detail stuff that I don't have to worry about, and that's really great. And then of course Karen. Couldn't have done it without you. First Lady, your biggest cheerleader. Thank you. So I have to figure out what to do now. As you know, my political career was like a rocket or a firecracker. When there's photos floating around of me and Al Franken, it's a little bit hard to convince the Republicans in this area that there isn't more to that picture than just one time to Washington. Tried golfing. Some of you in the room know that doesn't work. So I'm going to try fishing. This is compliments of my sister who came up last week and was with us at the open house. I'm not so sure about this either, but at least today it's my story and I'm going to stick with it. So thank you very much for a great 10 years, and we'll certainly be watching and seeing great things happen here at Central Lakes College. So thank you.
Right there in the corner.
Thank you, Jane. That helps.